Welcome to Suicide Fantasy Football. I'm Eric Butz.
And I'm Jim Butz.
And today we're going to be talking about the top 5 running backs, giving you our opinion on who you should be looking at if you've got one of those top 5 picks and you're considering an RB. So I'm going with my top 5 first, Jim. What'd you do with your head? That was pretty crazy. What'd you do? I'm going Adrian Peterson, number 1. I don't care whether it's PPR, non-PPR. I think he's a beast. He's proven it year in, year out. Now, Donovan McNabb is a guy who typically looks at dumping the ball out of the backfield to a running back like he did with Brian Westbrook. And I think Adrian Peterson's going to get maybe 40 catches this year, which compared to what he's done in previous years is a decent amount. And he's going to rush for at least 1,300 yards. Number 2, and this is just because of the Chris Johnson injury, I'm putting Arian Foster as my number 2 guy. Looks good. Hamstring was a little bit of a concern. I always worry a little bit about a running back with hamstring injuries and issues early in preseason, but he came back, looked strong in preseason. I think he's going to be just fine. Number 3, I'm going Ray Rice. And again, I would have had Chris Johnson up way higher, but I'm liking Ray Rice at my number 3. Number 4, I'm putting in Chris Johnson. I still think he's going to end up being at the first game of the year. I know he's holding out. I know he's held out a while. He wants a contract. They're not talking about it till he's at least in camp, but I think he's going to end up there figuring out a way to get him in there. And then my number 5 guy, I am going with Jamal Charles. A lot of people have him as like number 1. I think he may end up being a big disappointment this year in fantasy football. And look out for his backup. No, not Thomas Jones. Dexter McClutchin to get some action in the backfield, looking to be more than just a third down back this year.
Well, some of your names are right, but they're in the wrong position. As usual, you probably looked like out of the corner of your eye at my list and didn't get them all in the right order. But Arian Foster is the number 1 running back going into this year.
I'm not hating on him.
I mean, he is. When you look at the weapons that he has, what are you going to do? You're never going to put 8 in the box against him. You're putting 8 in the box against the Vikings. You know, you're going to dare Donovan McNabb to throw to Devin Alphabet or Bernard Berrien or Percy Harvin. They're never going to put 8 in the box against Foster. They're going to be a nickel most of the time, and he's going to be running over safeties instead of linebackers. So I love Foster. He was the number 1 point getter last year in most leagues. I think he's going to do it again this year. I'm not saying he's going to be like that for 5 or 6 years.
If he's healthy.
But I like him now. Number 2, I like Adrian Peterson for the same reasons that you said. He's a stud. He's probably the safest pick in the draft. If you're saying who's the safest number 1, I'm going ADP. But I think that he's going to be slightly below Foster. He's going to catch some balls. He's going to do something. I like the way Toby Gerhart looks, and I think that he's going to take away some of Peterson's goal line stuff. Plus, Peterson is a bumble waiting to happen. So you got to always be on the lookout for that. Number 3, I'm going Chris Johnson. I don't care whether he holds out or not. I think he's going to be starting game 1. Now, the recent things with Larry Fitzgerald might throw a monkey wrench into that because now he wants Fitz money, and that might hurt things. So check back with me in 5 days and see if it's still the same way. But as of right now, I'm going Chris Johnson. Number 4, I'm going Ray Rice. I think that the Ravens always kind of put another running back into the mix, which stops Ray Rice from going number 1, especially if you're in a PPR league. He's going to get some dump-off passes from Flacco. I do worry about Ricky Williams taking away his goal line carries this year. But yeah, I still like Ray Rice out there. Number 5, I'm going Frank Gore. Frank Gore's a beast. He's got a team. People always underestimate his offense. He's got weapon after weapon after weapon on there. And I think Alex Smith is going to have a decent season. I think he proves that he can carry the ball 25 times. There aren't many teams in the NFL that have one guy. Even Ray Rice is not the one guy. Out in San Francisco, who's going to take time away from him? Michael Robinson? You know, their second best running back went to left football to be a pastor somewhere. So that's where I'm going. That's my top 5.
All right, now one thing you said that's important, Jim, it's the safe pick. To me, you don't win fantasy football usually by the pick you make in the first round. You just want to pick a guy that you know is going to be consistent and put up points on a consistent basis. That's why I go ADP.
You don't win, but you can lose.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you got to worry about a guy who gets dinged up a lot, or a guy who's
Foster's that guy.
Or a guy who's holding out in camp, because those guys who hold out in camp are the guys who traditionally come in and get dinged up.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going ADP number 1. If you've got the second or third pick and he drops to you, don't think I'm going to, fool everybody and get Chris Johnson because he would have been the number 1 pick if he was in camp the whole off season. But I'm saying go ADP and you'll win. Signing out, Suicide Fantasy Football. Check us out on YouTube at Suicide Fantasy Sports. Twitter, SFFcom, and check us out on Facebook, Suicide Fantasy Football.
2 more weeks left to sign up. Come on.